Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Stevie Aisha Mills, and I am back with another episode of The Conversation with Stevie. And you know this is the place where we uncover the why behind the what of what people do. And I love having people here with me each and every time I'm able to come have a conversation, because each conversation is different. And just like in real life, it is unscripted. So we are about to have a conversation with Ms. Lesley George. And so what I want to do is to invite her to the virtual stage. Y'all know we are in this Rona time, honey. So we are in the virtual stage. And so please, Lesley, welcome. And please introduce yourself to the listeners.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Mills. Thank you for having me on. So I am Lesley George. I am the CEO of Mosaic, Inc., and Mosaic is a women empowerment company for women, specializing in diversity. So I consider myself the diversity diva. So I believe in each one of us. We come from different places. We may speak different languages. We have different cultures. And when I say culture is even the culture in your household, right? So my culture could be different from my neighbors. So it even goes down to that. But I just believe in celebrating those things that makes us different. But at the same time, we are still the same. So that's who I am. I am a 2-time Amazon best-selling author. My first book, International Day of the Girl, is a co-author book with myself and 8 other women. And, you know, we talk about diversity, and that book with all the authors really span from, I believe, my youngest author was 32 all the way up to 72. So I wanted to highlight different things. I wanted to highlight different careers, age groups, races. So all of that we did in the book. Our book hit Amazon bestseller within 24 hours of the book launch. So, you know, that was an amazing celebration for us and all the women, because, you know, all of them, including myself, we're first-time authors. So you've written several books, so you know your very first one. You're always wondering, well, is anybody ever going to listen to my story? Is anybody going to read my story? But what we had, and at that time we were not in the virtual world, so we were physical. So we had a physical book launch, and some women just reading their chapter was the first time they'd ever spoken in a live setting with other people. And not only that, even just sharing their story. So, you know, just going through that process with women, it was just very cleansing, very healing, because so many women, you know, they kept their stories inside and they didn't want to share. So that was just amazing, and I feel so honored and blessed to be part of these women's lives, because I'm still part of their lives, because of, you know, the journey that we took with that first book. So the name of that book is International Day of the Girl, and it was purposely launched on International Women's Day. So those are days of the year that I take purposeful to celebrate and highlight women. So that's a little bit about the book.
Awesome. And yes, I remember my first book, Cultivating Your It Factor, and it's such an amazing thing to hit that bestseller. I don't think the feeling of excitement goes away at all. You know, I'm about to be 18 books in, and so it definitely has not gone away. I love to see it every time, and so congratulations on that. That's amazing. You, like me, started with the anthology. I started Cultivating Your It Factor with the anthology as well, so I definitely understand that. And we do things differently because, honey, most people don't start with anthology. So I love that. I do have a question, and that is about the work that you do. And so I do know that the way in which you do diversity is different, and I love that because I was able to attend one of your classes very recently, and the thing that happened was very unique and different and a different perspective. Why do you think in 2020 diversity, and, you know, even going back to the international piece of your work that you did with your book, why do you think that is so relevant right now in the year that we are in?
Oh man, and I want to say again, thank you for joining on that. So diversity for me just goes back for me from birth, from childhood, right? So we'll start there for me. I've always wanted, because I'm a hybrid, so I'm West Indian American, and so being in the States, I've always looked at diversity, that people really have diversity really from one lens, right? So the lens is really, it's either black or white. And for me, it's not that, because I've lived all over the world, so I see things totally different when it comes to diversity than I even said, even the culture in your home. So especially now in 2020, the country is at a racial uprising. Because what I'm seeing now, which is different. It's the same situation that we've had, that the same story is being played over and over. But one of the main things now is that we're realizing now that we have these allies. So we have white counterparts that are allies for the African American community, the brown community, and I think that's just such an amazing thing. So. Right now in America, the way that I look at it, we're at such a racial divide. And I was even on social media this weekend where somebody was saying that, that's the problem with racism and so forth. Well, racism is not new. It's not something that just happened. The George Floyd incident is not something that just made everyone, okay, well, we're taking a stance. What it is that for a lot of people, black, white, doesn't matter your race, you are really able to see what really happens in certain communities. And I think COVID itself played out for the George Floyd situation, because if we weren't in COVID, everybody was busy, right? Everybody was busy. You'll see something in your timeline on social media. You may scroll by it or whatever. But with this, everyone in the world was able to stop and see and now process. And so the thing with diversity, racial uprising, racial inequities, racial injustice, Black Lives Matter, all that is just saying that here's a race of people that are human. And if we can see each other from that human lens, I think our discussions will be a lot better. One of the things for me is that most people don't want to have those tough conversations. I don't mind those tough conversations. Like I said, for me, that goes back to childhood. So having conversations about racial inequity and diversity and so forth, that's just a conversation, no-nonsense conversation for me. So I think that if we can look at the racial uprising that we have currently in America, we could look at some of the things that stigmatize black women. On my webinar that I had that you joined, the name of it was Women in White Spaces. And the topics that I touched on was code switching, where some people didn't even realize that was a thing. It was code switching and microaggressions, right? So those are some things that, as a black woman, black and brown woman in an office in a corporate setting, there's things that you're going through when you walk into a meeting, because I know I've done it for years and didn't realize that that's what I was doing. You walk into a meeting where you may be the only black person in that meeting, but before you even sit down, there's so many things that's going on in your mind, because you're wondering, okay, how should I say this? How should I sit? Okay, how's my face? Because here's the thing, you don't want to be called an angry black woman if you express something in passion, right? Because with other races, that they may not be called angry, but for some reason, there's something that goes along with a black woman that if you may be very expressive or passionate, I like to say passionate because I know that I am, you're going to be labeled as angry, because I know that happened to me personally in the corporate setting. So there's so many things that you have going through your head that sometimes you can't even focus on the meeting. You can't even focus on, okay, so what was the reason why we came in here for? So those are some things that are really coming to a forefront. And like I say, for myself personally, these are things that I've done in the corporate setting for years, didn't realize I was doing it, and probably thought that I was the only one doing it. But when certain things come to light, you realize that, oh, my goodness, so this is something that we're all processing. at the same time. And so I have a lot of white counterparts, a lot of white friends, female friends, that since the George Floyd incident have come to me and said, Lesley, can you help me with X, Y, Z? Can we have a conversation about? And I love that, right? Because here's the thing, and that's what I noticed, and that's the reason why I started having these webinars, because I assumed that they knew. They don't know, right? And so when we can have the conversations, the honest, authentic conversations about race, diversity, and so forth, we're now bringing white allies into our spaces. And guess what? The reason why we call them allies is because there are some tables that we will never sit at, but they will. And if they can somehow, now they're not going to be able to walk in our shoes, but if for some reason they can, but for some way we can somehow express and they can feel our empathy, they can take that into a room, and now they have a voice for us that we couldn't. So that's one of the things, that's another reason why in 2020 I'm so passionate about it, because I realize that we can't assume that all white people may know what we are going through. And for me, right now, I'm really focusing on women, right? So because those are the ones that have come forward and said, let's go to lunch, let's have a Zoom, let's have a conversation. Those are the ones that just this week, I had a friend of mine that said, Lesley, I want us to sit down and talk. I said, I'm for it. So those are the things that are happening. I know I'm not the only one to have conversations to express really and truly how we walk in this world on a daily basis. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, indeed. And I think sometimes it is very uncomfortable for us to admit our faults, of any faults, and I think, inclusion is something that we have been faulted for on all sides. We've been faulted for because we don't necessarily like what's different. We don't like change. A lot of people have been birthed inside of a society and community of, like you're saying, culture that has not taught them this, to be welcoming. And, we all have our nuances, and I do believe that. And so we have about 4 minutes left. And so inside of the 4 minutes that we have left, I want you to, of course, give any contact information, any way for people to connect with your training or buy your books or anything you have in that way. And I also want you to give your final words that you have for the people.
Awesome. Thank you. So you can reach me. I'll just give you my website. I'm on all the social media channels, but let me just give you my website, which is www.themosaicinc. So the MOSAICINC.com. So, just in closing and going back to the Mosaic Inc. So if you look at a mosaic tile is colorful. It has many different colors. It has different textures because you're going to use different things to bring those tiles together. So that is why I named the company Mosaic Inc. Because when I look at a mosaic tile, I just think of unity, right? I think of beauty, and I think of unity. So if I can leave anything with you, from now on, whenever you see those beautiful tiles or you see anything that's beautiful that really comes together with different colors, different shapes, and different textures. And that's just who we are as a human race. So we're all different. We're all beautiful, but we all just come together so beautifully to make the human race. And if that's a message that anyone that's listening can carry that in their heart, I think that is what my job here is to do. So my job is to not shun that difference, to celebrate that difference, and we're all part of the human race.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming and having a conversation with me. It was a pleasure to have you. And everyone,
thank you so much.
Yay! I know everyone is excited to hear this because this is some, the work you do is definitely something we need to take with us because we do all have those different spots and nuances that we got to kind of check. It's not just one race or one person. I think we all have some some room for improvement when it comes to just being accepting of various things. And so, yes, I'm excited about that. So everybody here, you all definitely make sure that you connect with our amazing author, part of the Celebrity Book Club. Yes, and yay. Miss Lesley George, she has some amazing work that she is doing out here, and it's important, especially because I know a lot of the people who listen to this show happen to be entrepreneurs. So you need to have her, whether it's for your company meeting or however you need to get her. But companies, honey, out here doing the most. You got to make sure you are being accepting to everybody. Again, I am Dr. Stevie Aisha Mills, and I want to leave you with one website as well, as Lesley did, and that's cultivatingyourItFactor.com. In order to be accepted, you got to know your it factor, and you have to be accepting of other people's it factors. So I think that's a good place for you. And make it a great day. Do not have a great day. Make it a great day. Why? Because you, and yes, you too have the power to do so. Bye for now, my darling.
Bye-bye. Thank you.